Okay, hello everyone. Hello Lilith, how's it going?
It is going as well as things could go.
The
The world's in shambles, or
world's in
it's
shambles.
going hell in a hell. Sorry, it's going to hell in a handbasket, and it's not the best thing in the world right now. But
hmm I don't know. I don't know if it's so bad. I mean, this is I've
oh
come to
yeah, it
view
could definitely
this as
get a
more of
lot
a
worse.
I've come to view this as more of a regional conflict. People are like World War Three. It's not World War Three, guys. It's not World War Three. This is not World War Three. This is Putin swinging his dick around in his own backyard. It's not affecting the rest of the world. Not in the way that people
Well,
say it is, anyway.
for the moment of recording,
At the moment, yes. Yes. So, hello, chat.
I would really hate for you to be proven wrong, but it's probably not. I mean, the conflict is like
It's pretty isolated.
It's yeah, it's fairly isolated, but there's a chance it could spread out a lot.
Yeah.
They're already like posturing. Everybody's posturing, really.
Everybody is posturing right now. Wait, hold on. Coach Red Pill got chased out of Ukraine. Is that real?
Really?
That's fucking funny, dude.
That is pretty funny.
I know he was in Ukraine streaming to the West to an English audience about how based Russia was. And he's like, I'm here in Kiev and I'm streaming and Ukraine sucks and Russia is the defender of Western civilization and like conservatism and Christianity and all this other nonsense. And,
Fucking hell.
and then he got chased out of Ukraine. That's fucking funny.
Deported. He got deported.
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 Fuck. You know what? Man, the amount of simping for Russia from people, not from all rightists, obviously, but from a lot of rightists is honestly kind of disgusting at this point. Tim Pool is almost openly doing it. Coach Red Pill is openly doing it. There's a shit ton of people on Twitter who are taking up this pro-Russia stance. And like a month ago, these same people were saying Russia will never invade. Russia will never invade. Russia will never invade. Russia will never invade. It's all just Western propaganda. It's never going to happen. And then as soon as they do, they're like, oh, Russia's good, actually.
Well,
Jesus.
immediately after Russia invades, they start making excuses.
Mm-hmm. It is fucking disgusting, dude.
Although to their credit, to like not everybody on the right has been full on R word on this.
Oh,
I
of
said
course.
it the other time. I'm gonna try not to this time.
Oh, you can say the I don't care.
Oh, it's okay. But like people like Quartering have been fairly cool about it. Like
Yeah.
level headed.
Mm-hmm. I can respect
And
Jeremy because I think Jeremy
mhm.
knows he doesn't know much about this type of politics or this area of the world. So he's just like, he's backing off. He's not pulling a Hassan, where Hassan has been just ridiculously stupid in every single one of his takes.
Oh yeah. I mean, how many times has Hassan walked backwards on what he had to say just in 1 month alone?
Oh god, I actually have like a collection of his clips here. I've got 3 of his clips that I can play. Just give me a second real quick. Okay. You know what? I might as well just bring the screen in right now just so you guys can see a few things. So here, check this out. Hassan, this was February 17th. This is the hill I will die on. Russia cannot launch an urban counterinsurgency war in a neighboring country with 44 million people, with or without NATO support. This is why I've been saying he won't invade Ukraine. Not because of anything else. He's a bad person, not a mad one. Well, it's a weird hill to die on, Hassan, but at least you're fucking dead. Holy shit. Every one of his takes has been awful. Like, okay, here. I'll play this for you, chat. Check this out. All right? Okay. Okay. Listen. Listen. Listen.
But like you feeling bad about the Crimean annexation does not change the reality of the Crimean annexation being a completely justifiable fucking act by the Russian government, okay? So that's it. That's fine. And Hitler
Really?
invaded countries based on Germanic ties at first. Yeah, dude. Talk to me when he's fucking throwing Ukrainians in a fucking What are you talking about? Talk to me when he's throwing Ukrainians at a concentration camp, okay? Hitler wasn't fucking bad because he decided to invade Austria. He was bad because he was fucking killing Jews, okay? That was the problem. He wasn't like, oh yeah, we're gonna fucking annex.
So Hitler invading Austria was pretty based, actually, according to Hassan.
No, he's not saying that. He's saying Hitler invading Austria wasn't the reason why Hitler was as bad as Hitler was.
Oh, it's so stupid. It's
he's
still
saying
so stupid.
It's some weird goalpost where annexing a country is only bad if you start throwing them in camps.
Yeah.
Both things can be bad at the same time.
Also, they haven't started like genociding Ukrainians, but they have definitely not cared about hitting civilians. We know that at this point.
Yeah.
So, fuck, Hassan's so stupid. He's so stupid.
You don't have to literally be like 1,000,000% evil to still be evil.
Yeah. Okay, let's see this. Okay. So, I like Destiny's take here. I'm beginning to think Hassan can tell the future and just predicts the opposite of whatever he knows is going to happen. Okay, go on. What are you going to say?
I hate to play defense for Hassan because I'm not a fan of him. I don't like him at all. But he did retract that previous clip that we saw.
Yeah, he retracted all of this. But the point is that he's wrong.
All of it,
he's
but
wrong.
He is wrong. So we're
at least pull the cord, like the move the quartering did, and said and just say I don't know. You don't gotta have a take on everything, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna hit the next clip here real quick.
Look like Tim Pool after that 49 state landslide? Yeah. I would look like Tim Pool after that 49 state landslide
He's gonna ban him.
You know, there was a active bombing currently happening on Kiev, and like Ukrainians were being murdered left and right at this moment.
That happened.
I would be that way if America was like, we're going with a full-throated, this is a full-blown invasion, and yet it hasn't happened.
Dude, is
he gonna unban him?
No, he just banned him. He's like, you know, I'd be wrong if they actually invaded Kiev and started bombing civilians. That happened, dude. Holy shit. Wow. Yep. Oh, and also, the funniest bit is when Hassan makes this prediction.
So chill out. Also, why would... Russia is never going to nuke Ukraine, guys. That would kill Russia. The proximity of...
Russia is never going to nuke Ukraine. That means it's definitely happening in the next few weeks. We are going to see nuclear bombs dropped on Ukraine.
Oh, no.
God, Hassan's so stupid. Hassan is so fucking dumb.
Everything, the opposite of what he has said has came true so far.
Yes. Oh, God, we got to do that Hassan video. We got to do that Hassan video soon, you and I. We're doing it. It's coming, guys. Is Dev pro or anti-Russia? I am anti-Russia. Sorry. Dev, what level of Ukrainian propaganda believing are you on? Okay, so there actually has been a fair amount of, like, Ukrainian copium on social media as well. There are people who are saying, like, you know, the ghost of Kiev is a hero. That was actually faked. The Snake Island shit, well, that was, like, a fun story, but they didn't die. They got captured. And people are saying, well, stop disproving our heroic stories. Let us believe in something. And, okay. There seems to be this attitude on Western social media right now, especially more left-leaning people, that the brave, loyal Ukrainians are going to successfully fight off the Russian invader, and they're going to win the freedom of their country, and Russian fascism will be denounced and trounced for yet another day. That's not happening, guys. All right?
It's often been said that in war, truth is the first casualty.
Yes.
And I've been seeing it said a lot, but you know, that's definitely a case with certain, actually both sides really, like, but we see it more on the Western side because, you know, that's where we are.
Just give me a moment here. Oh, go on. I'm just looking for something real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Freaking hell!
Did you forget it?
I'm having morning brain right now.
Don't worry, I understand. It happens to me all the time. So, here.
I got out of shower earlier and I was just
Yeah,
the steam was just really drunk in my head.
Thanks for the super chats, guys. We will read them at the end of the stream, okay? So, no, we do appreciate the support. It helps us going. Helps keep us going. So thanks a whole bunch. Oh, man. Sometimes just a good glass of water is really nice. Okay. Rather than coffee or anything else. I'm going to show a few things here, guys. Check this out. Okay. This was some cope from back in December of 2021 from Occupy Democrats, okay? Russia, which is currently preparing for a possible invasion of Ukraine, makes sweeping demands that the USA and NATO withdraw from Eastern Europe in the hopes of regaining Soviet-era control of the region. Retweet if you're glad our president is no longer a Putin puppet. Okay. If Trump was the Putin puppet that a lot of people on the left like to claim that he was, what was Putin's plan? Install your puppet, wait 4 years for your puppet to leave office, and then invade after your puppet is gone when he can no longer actually prevent the apparatus of the United States from stopping him. Like, what if Trump was a Putin puppet, what was Putin's plan?
Yeah, I feel like if he wanted to invading during Trump's time would have been better if that was the narrative.
Yeah.
Maybe he expected Trump to win. Fucking hell, that would be the line.
Yeah, it's just oh god, the Trump as Russian puppet thing makes no fucking sense anymore. It makes no fucking sense anymore. I don't. In fact, considering that there was like that, I know it was anecdotal, so who knows, but there was that story where Trump said, if you hit Ukraine while I'm in office, I'll hit Moscow. And Putin was just like completely taken aback, and Trump was just sitting there like Giga Chad. It's like, I don't give a fuck. I'll nuke your capital city. I don't fucking care. And like that's wild and ridiculous and insane, but it's exactly something that Trump would do. And if true, it worked. Which is why as soon as Trump was out of office, they started to go into Ukraine. So
I feel like this situation lasted a bit like prior to Trump.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like he hasn't. One thing is for sure though, Putin didn't invade Ukraine while Trump was in office.
Yep, that's pretty important actually. If I have a feeling this might not have happened if Trump was sticking around. But then again, who knows, right? Who knows? Yeah, I know the left-wing narrative is that Trump refused to give aid to Ukraine because Ukraine wouldn't help him get info on like Biden-related corruption through his son working in Ukraine. And so that story could go both ways, right? Like it could be a case that Trump was corrupt and was pressuring a foreign government to help him get reelected by slandering his political enemy. Or it could be the case that Joe Biden's son is actually corrupt and there was actual corruption going on, and Trump was like, listen, you need to look into this because I'm currently draining the swamp here. Like, both narratives could be true. I'm not sure which one it is.
He can't withhold funds on that pretext.
Yeah, because like it's a different we're talking about geopolitics now, not just like the corruption of one person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So who knows, man? Who knows? Okay, I've seen some wild shit out there, some wild fucking claims. Okay, man, I think it was who's that one tanky, Infrahans or something?
Infrahans.
Yeah, he was out there saying that like there was like America was making in Ukrainian biolabs an anti-Russian DNA virus that would only target like ethnic Russians, and they were making it on the Russian border, and that's why Russia attacked. Like, how fucking deranged do you have to like? This is some Metal Gear Solid like Fox Die shit. How what the fuck? Does he actually believe this, or is he just memeing?
I don't know. With tankies, you have a hard time to tell.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard him saying that. I I mostly just saw him making like a really cringe like they them army jokes as soon as Russia invaded. He's like a major China sim too. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
people like that. Just oh, China good, Russia good,
Well, I
was
know
bad.
there's currently a situation going on regarding trans people in Ukraine, and I can see both sides of it because Ukraine has said all men, and by that they mean biological males, aged
Mm.
18 to 60 cannot leave the country. They must stay and join the army and fight off the invader. It's like, okay, fair enough. This is like dire times. This is the end of your civilization at this point from their point of view. I understand completely. But there's like trans women who are complaining that they're not being allowed out. And it's like, well, I kind of get it,
Yes,
but also
that's
like you
pretty
got to
fucked
fight.
up.
You,
I
I
feel
mean,
like
it is, but like you're facing down an invading army. You got to fight. You know, like there's no two ways about it. Yeah,
yeah,
you
but
have
not
to fight.
everybody is a soldier.
True, not everybody's a soldier, but
Like
when you're facing this kind of thing, sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes you just have to. Like you're not a soldier. You didn't want this for your life, but you know what? They're coming in and they're going to fuck everyone anyway. So you know, there's no other choice at this point. Like I
honestly,
understand both sides. I
as a
understand both sides.
libertarian, I feel like people should still be able to leave even if they are being invaded
I
by
mean,
a foreign country.
like that makes sense.
Personally,
That does make sense on an individual level. But like if
I feel like
people,
people should always have the right to seek refuge if that's
mhm,
the route they choose. If people want to fight, then good for them. They should be able to pick up a rifle and defend their country. I think that's commendable. I think the choice should also be there for people who don't.
I mean,
And that includes
I
men and trans women.
I get that. However, the natural end result of that logic is that if there's a power that is expansionist and a population that always retreats, then there's never any resistance to it. And eventually, the
I think
the
no,
the
I'm not saying
extreme.
resistance is bad. I'm saying the resist. I agree with the resistance. I
Mhm,
agree with making Russia pay, giving Russia as hard as time as possible.
mhm. Well,
But I don't know how much
no. The thing is, whenever you take, it's a general you, not you specifically, you always have to take the most extreme version of a stance to see where it breaks. That's the point of Vosh's Coconut Island when it comes to the right to own your own labor. You know, he's taking the idea that if you work, you should own it. And it's a liberal idea, and he's pushing it to the extreme to see where that idea kind of falters and can destroy a society. That's Coconut Island. In this case, the instance is if you have an entire population who they always fall back instead of fighting whenever the expansion comes, eventually there's nowhere left to fall back to. And eventually you have to draw some line and say, yes, it's against your rights, but you have to fight because this is one of those moments where things are that extreme. And it sucks and it's not ideal, but the alternative's worse. And so I understand both sides of the argument. I wouldn't call the Ukrainians who are like, nope, everyone's fighting, you're not leaving. I wouldn't call them evil or anything for doing that. It's just it's a
I
situation
wouldn't
born
call
of
it
necessity.
evil either. I just
Yeah.
disagree with the decision,
I understand.
personally. I feel like everybody who wants to leave should be able to leave, but obviously I repeat it.
I saw someone in the chat say that if your country's being invaded and you're called to fight and you decide to leave instead, you should never be allowed back in. It's like,
I,
maybe.
you know,
Maybe.
maybe yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if you're like defending like a kid or a baby, and
Well, yeah,
you
well,
have
there's
a
always
family
edge
and
cases,
that's
right?
like
Yeah, there's always
stuff.
edge cases. I
Mm.
understand that. But I mean, if someone's just like, nope,
Or
I'm
your
just going to
wife.
draft dodge and take the fuck off. Like, that's why American draft dodgers just lived in Canada for the rest of their lives, right? They couldn't go back. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even then, like, American draft dodgers had more of a reason to dodge because they weren't defending American soil. They were off in Vietnam.
Yeah, they were being dragged all the way to Vietnam to die for something that they had very little to do with. Very.
Yeah, yeah. And there's also like there's other pro-Russia arguments that I just think they're ridiculous. I can take away the screen now for a bit. Just give me a second. Might as well, because we're not talking about this tweet anymore. There we go. Okay. There are other pro-Russia arguments I think are kind of ridiculous. Like there's the whole thing like there's a lot of ethnic Russians in an area, so therefore Russia has the obligation to come in and absorb them into the Russian Federation, and it's all it's all like ethnic based, and it's like, well, first of all, that's very Germanically blood and soil, where Germany wanted all the various disparate German ethnic groups of other countries to be brought into Germany. That's something that they did before the Second World War, and it doesn't sound quite right. But also,
it is not right. It is just.
Oh my God! Look at all the Russians. Look at the Russians in the chat. Suddenly, there's fucking bots. I wonder what that says. Oh my God!
Get a mod, Dev. Get a mod.
I don't know if there's actually any mods around.
I know you're all about free speech, but it's just, there's a difference between that and like spam, possibly.
That's actually really funny. Hold on. Yeah. Holy shit. Okay, hold on. I don't think there's actually any mods watching right now. I will go recruit my mods very quick.
Yes.
Sweet.
You're calling for foreign reinforcements.
Calling for calling for reinforcements against hundreds of Russian invaders.
Exactly. Quick, get Wings of Redemption. Put him in a military ghillie, and just give him a rifle.
I actually wonder what they're saying, though. I'm kind of... Here, give me a second. Hell, Russia's invading here, too. Oh, they were literally saying Putin strong.
Here's you were talking about pods, right?
Okay, right. Sorry. So,
this is a guy who.
Oh no! I want to.
Have you heard about Caleb Maupin?
I wanted to continue my point first, if you don't mind, because I was in the middle of them before the spam started.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So regarding the whole ethnic Russians point, right? The ultimate issue with that point of view, that argument, is that it legitimizes past imperialistic action, and it also provides a moral basis for future imperialistic action. So, for example, when China took over Tibet, and they moved a shit ton of Chinese people in there, now they can claim, oh look, the area is majority ethnic Chinese. We have a legitimate we have a legitimate claim to protect these people because they're our people,
Or similar with Israel.
Yep. So this idea that if you can just move in enough of your people into a location, especially if it's another country's location, and then you can claim, hey, that foreign government is mistreating our people, and we have a moral obligation to go to bat for them, and then you can roll in with your tanks, and you can subvert and have enough like local revolutionary sentiment. You can roll in with your tanks. You can install a puppet government. You can have the puppet government vote to join Russia, and then suddenly everything you've done is legitimized. This is how Russia has always operated. They did it in Crimea in 2014. They did it in Georgia in 2008. That's how the Soviet Union expanded when it was the Soviets in charge. And you know what? Pre-Soviets, the Russian Empire did very similar things.
My bad. Sorry, I was thinking something else.
Oh, no problem. But yeah, like pre-Soviets, the Russian Empire did the exact same thing. This is kind of what they do. And this is something that the right wing here in the West complains about all the time. Like Texas is going to be speaking Spanish in 50 years and shit like this. Like this other ethnic group is moving in and will break off parts of our territory. The right wing complains about this all the time, and then we have some of them, not all of them, but some of them simping for Russia, and it's fucking ridiculous. It's completely inconsistent. It shows a complete lack of consistency or morality on their part. It's ridiculous to me. that this is actually an argument people are actually accepting, that there's ethnic Russians there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what were you gonna say?
Yeah.
I'm done ranting. Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna bring up another cringe tanky that was
Oh, who's that?
that made he was his name is Caleb Muppin, and he recently he
I know
made
him.
a tweet. You know him? Good.
I have his book about BreadTube. His BreadTube book. Yeah, he published a book
Well,
about how bad BreadTube is, and I read it.
oh yeah, but he's like majorly simping for Russia and China, basically.
Yeah, of course.
But he was he made a video called "Why Should American Working People Support Russia?"
I didn't see it. What was in the video?
Um, it's what you get. It's what you pretty much expect. It's like, oh, America's imperialist and Russia is anti-imperialist.
Fuck.
What by definition?
Yeah, this whole like Russia can't be imperialist because they're not aligned with the West. It's so fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid. Jesus, dude. I this whole thing has like blown the top off of everything. The extreme far left is so anti-West that they're going like pro-Putin. And the extreme far
Well,
right,
they've been like that for a while.
yeah, and the extreme far right views Putin as like this protector of Western civilization and Christianity against, social justice and liberal degeneracy and all this fucking nonsense. So the extreme far right is like, yeah, Putin's pretty good, man. He's like, it's like, Jesus Christ, you're both fucking awful.
Well, frickin' Putin has a stripper pole in his bedroom, and an abortion rate is the highest in Russia than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard the theory that Putin.
But anyways, it's Caleb Muffin.
Oh, sorry. Go on. Yes, go on.
Was crying because he got labeled Russian state-affiliated media by Twitter.
That's funny.
And he's losing his shit.
Kate, you know what? Kate, you know what? There are so many people out there right now. It's like I said, they were like, this will never happen, and now they're simping for Russia, right? And now there are people who are complaining, oh, what happened to liberal democracy? What happened to the open society? Now that you're like banning, Russians from buying things from overseas and cutting off Russian businesses, and you're not allowing Russians to enter into these international events, and you're blockading Russia, and you're not trading with Russia anymore, and the Russian ruble is fucking tanking. It's now worth less than like Robux, like what happened to the openness of this is liberal democracy in action. It's like, guys, are you fucking kidding me? Okay, hold on. Yeah, this idea that because liberalism values free speech and values openness, that it just shouldn't defend itself and shouldn't cut off people who are legitimately anti that. It seems to be ridiculous. It seems to be like, what? How the fuck? Someone in the chat, by the way, just said 1/4 of the Azov battalion are Nazis. That's like 500 people. All right. The Azov battalion is like 2,000 people. 500 of them are legitimately Nazis, and the Ukrainian military has 200,000 people in it. This whole idea that Ukraine needs to be denazified just seems to be ridiculous. It seems to be like what the fuck? What the fuck?
It's just propaganda.
Yeah, it's just propaganda. Yeah.
They're trying to use the momentum, or they're trying to invoke World War II by going, oh, we're denazifying Germany.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're trying to say, oh, we're doing the same thing, but in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
While ignoring all the fascists at home.
But it's just all this stuff.
No, it's not just fascists at home. Fascists in power. If you, I linked it to you a while back.
Mm-hmm.
But you know about the National Bolshevik Party, right?
Yes.
That's a major power there.
In Russia? Yeah.
Yeah, in Russia, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's literally just commie Nazis.
Yep, just to be fair, almost all socialists, if you push them hard enough, they're just commie Nazis if you dig down. They claim not to be. A lot of BreadTube claims not to be, but like if chips are down, if you start actually comparing the things that they want, it sounds pretty similar. That's why I don't trust any of them. But like some of them just they won't say it openly. They don't believe it about themselves. So it's like, okay, maybe you're just a bit delusional rather than actually evil, but you know, still it's all there. Hold on a second though.
Or them sending mercenaries from the Wagner Group.
Yeah.
Which is literally named after Hitler's favorite composer. And their
fair,
leader looks like some Wolfenstein enemy.
Wagner, he was a very good composer though.
Yeah, but
ironically.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with why they're named. If you look at their leader, pull a picture of their leader up. I just linked it.
Yeah. Wait, do you have it now? Let me see. Let me go to the thing. Oh yeah, this fucking guy. Hold on. I'll pull it up what Lilith just linked here. There it is. Oh yeah. This is Dmitry Yutkins, the founder of the Kremlin's Wagner Group. This is a Nazi eagle tattooed on his chest, and there are Nazi SS runes tattooed on his collarbones. Look at this motherfucker.
Looks like a Wolfenstein enemy. He looks like every other Nazi you shoot at.
Oh God, he just looks. He looks like an actor almost. Like here's a stereotype of a neo-Nazi. How close can we get to him? Yep, we found our guy. Here he is.
Oh. You pull up a dictionary of a neo-Nazi, and there's a picture of his face.
Yeah. Someone in the chat says, like Vosh, him talking about market socialism is just the means of pushing the West towards real communism. Yes, but I will have to get into that another time. Because I do have something planned to talk about that, but I can't do it just on the fly. Based Slav. Looks like a guy you'd fight in a tutorial. It's like Death's Head. Okay, so.
Actually, he kind of does look like Death's Head.
Yeah. I guess the point that I'm saying is that there are people who are like, so much for liberal democracy, they're banning Russian news outlets when Russians have banned American news outlets. They're no longer trading with Russians. Like,
bro, no, the commentator was right. Look at him. This is the model of Death's Head. Compared to him. I just posted a picture of Death's Head.
Let me see.
Just put it next to it.
Let me just open it up. Oh my God. Yeah. Wow, it's just literally him. Jesus. Yep. Okay, so I guess what I was saying though, what I was saying before, is just liberals are absolutely within their right to go to war or stop broadcasting propaganda from the other side, or enter into economic sanctions against people who are willing to overthrow liberalism. The difference is what liberals do when there's not a war. When there's no war,
but don't
liberals...
you see, Dev? Being a liberal means you have to tolerate any forms of undermining.
Oh, that's what it is.
You have to tolerate subversion, otherwise you won't be a liberal anymore.
I hate that argument. Like, when there's no war going on...
Why won't you tolerate people actively trying to destroy your ideology? In your way of life.
When there's no war going on, liberals should leave you alone. If they don't, then they're socialists. They might be calling themselves liberals, but then they're socialists. Liberals leave you alone. They say that there is a private life and there's a public-private split, and then you should be allowed to do whatever you want in your private life, with your private property, with your friends and your family and your community, and with your private business if you happen to own one. And the state should have minimal say in those things. But when there's a war, then yes, liberals have to mobilize. They have to defend their land and their country and their ideology and their people. So there's still going to be some measures taken during wartime. But socialists, when there's no war, they're still expansionists. They're still totalitarian. They still say that everything needs to be brought under the control and everything is within the purview of the collective. That's the difference, is how these two ideologies operate during peacetime. During wartime, it makes complete sense to cut off people who are seeking to destroy you from, for example, your market. Like, these people, they're so dumb. What happened to liberal tolerance? That ended when Russia invaded Ukraine. Tolerance has its limits. All right? Fuck.
I honestly don't know why people are even shocked at the sanctions. Nobody should be shocked at the sanctions.
Yeah.
It's just what happens if you step out of line and invade sovereign countries.
Mm-hmm.
If America started, like,
to be fair, America did.
Tomorrow,
it's called Iraq.
Yeah.
America did. That was shit, you know?
Yeah, we did. And, you know, that was bad. And I protested against it.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke out against it. It's bullshit. We shouldn't be invading places that haven't provoked us.
So, right here, someone just says...
And if America were to invade, like, say, Mexico or Puerto Rico, I would hope other countries
doesn't America already own Puerto Rico?
We do, but it's already sort of our territory, but it's not. Let's say just like if
it's not a state yet. Yeah.
It's not a state yet.
So someone in the chat said, "Dev, what is the war? What is the war that the West is fighting? Unless you actually think the West has a claim to Ukraine. Here's what the West has a claim to. Actually, no, that's the wrong way to word it. It's more that Ukraine has a claim to the West, because we have seen, because of several elections at this point, Ukraine is viewing the West, not the East, as the direction for its future. It wants more integration with institutions like the EU, as shitty as the EU is. It wants to get closer to NATO, absolutely. It's viewing the West, not Russia, as the future of Ukraine. That is what the people in Ukraine see. So that is where the legitimacy of the claim lies, is what they want. It's not about what America wants, and it's not about what Russia wants. Haha, no, Ukraine doesn't. Yes, it does. That's why pro-Western candidates won the presidency 2 elections in a row. All right? Putin sees those elections as illegitimate because of the Western-backed coup. Yeah, because Putin's a retard. Putin, that is his scapegoat. That is his reason. It's not a legitimate reason. All right?
I don't even think that election that we're talking about was legitimate. Wasn't he ousted because there was like discrepancies found in an election?
Partially.
So
here, I'll pull up.
Yeah.
Let me just pull that up. So that the 2019 election was completely legitimate, 100%. You're talking about the 2014 election, because that was the election that caused Russia to move in and annex Crimea. So let me just let's see here. I'm going to read this real quick.
The ousting of the previous pro-Russian.
Yeah, let's be wiki warriors here for a second, okay? Petro Poroshenko, he was the pro-Western candidate. He won the election with 54.7% of the votes.
No. Yeah, sorry.
His closest competitor won with 12.81% of the votes. The Central Election Commission reported voter turnout over 60%, excluding those regions not under government control. So there were already separatist movements before this election where the government couldn't actually get votes from, because they were already trying to leave. So let me just see here. Only 20% of the ballot, for example, only 20% of the ballot stations in the Donbass region of Ukraine were open due to threats and violence by pro-Russia separatists. So even if that area of the country wanted to leave, they still couldn't have their voices democratically heard, because the violence of the pro-Russia separatists refused to allow the vote to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you could actually make a decent argument that the election in 2014 might have gone a different way had everyone voted and people who were, say, more pro-Russia had the opportunity to vote. But it was the pro-Russian violence that prevented that vote from happening anyway, so we can't know.
Yep. Like, I don't know. It's just even if we take them at their word and say, oh, it was a coup, they had an election afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hold on.
And they had more elections afterwards.
This is the first time I've suspected you of shilling. Who's paying me? Where? Okay, fucking President. What's his name? Volodymyr Zelensky. Give me my fucking paycheck. If I'm shilling, I want to get paid for it. Cause I'm not getting paid shit right now. All right.
The rubbing hands.
Okay. Here. Let's see if I can really go over this.
I was getting paid by the government.
So,
by any government.
People are saying that you can't go in the chat. The general idea of what I'm getting of what I'm seeing in the chat is that you can't just look at the 2014 election, because what happened before that? What happened to the Russian separatists before that point? What happened? Why is it that this guy won and not somebody else? And you have to go. You have to go back a bit further. Okay, fair enough. So when people talk about Ukraine, they often say that Russia was backed into a corner and that they were pushed into it because of the expansion of NATO. The expansion of NATO argument is one that I hear people repeat a lot.
And they're also often under the misconception that NATO promised them that they would never expand to the east, which is also just a straight up propaganda and a lie.
Yep.
We didn't.
Yep, that's false.
Yeah,
that's absolutely false. So, chat,
that's just propaganda.
Chat, you're not going to want to hear this, okay? You are not going to want to hear this. But there's that one famous quote: "Not 1 inch eastward." False. It's all fake. It's made up. Here, let's get that gif of Will Riker just saying, "We made it up. It's all fake. Never happened." Just over and over and over. It's all fake.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I can show you.
If there were a written agreement with the Russian government that we would never expand NATO, they would have trotted out constantly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Putin would be like, look at this. What the fuck, guys? Look at this treaty they violated. Putin hasn't said a single thing. No, Neon Reagan, this is not sweet, sweet Western propaganda. This is sweet, sweet facts. All right? Des being paid off by the Sri Lankans. Oh, shit. Okay. No. I can fucking prove this stuff, okay? All right?
They're paying us.
Yeah, the Sri Lankans for some reason. Okay. So, there's this famous quote called "Not 1 inch eastward." All right? And here's where that comes from. I'm gonna pull it up right now. I have it on the screen. I'm gonna pull it up here. This stuff was declassified in 2017, and you can all go and read this for yourself. There's all these documents, all these cables. There's conversations between what's his name, Gorbachev from the Soviet Union, and who's the guy on the American side? His name's in here. I can just pick it out. Sorry?
Reagan?
Not Reagan, no. It was somebody else. James Baker, U.S. Secretary of State James Baker, famous not 1 inch eastward assurance about NATO expansion in his meeting with Soviet leader Gorbachev on February 9th, 1990. All right? So, all this content here was declassified in 2017, and you can go watch it, and you can go read it for yourself. It's conversations between Baker and Gorbachev. It's cables, like embassy cables that were declassified. Like you can see all these documents, all these cables. There's a shit ton of information that came to light in 2017. Okay? So with that being the case, let me just go here for a second. Come on, Google. Don't let me down. Fuck off. No, Google, no. No, Google. Oh my God. Do I hate Google right now. All right. Here we go. Okay. All right. So, guys, I'm going to pull this up for you, all right? Shut up, Google. Okay. Here's the map. Here's the map of Europe. Okay? Now, when this was all going down, keep in mind, where's the cables here? Let me pull the cables back up. Okay, here's the cables. This was happening in February 9th, 1990. This was on the verge of East Germany collapsing and reuniting back in with West Germany, but not before anybody knew that the Soviet Union was collapsing. The Soviet Union did not collapse until 1991, and Gorbachev didn't see it coming. The Americans didn't see it coming. Nobody saw it coming. So, when Baker was talking to Gorbachev, and he said, not 1 inch eastward, what he was doing was he was saying, listen, the line for West and East Germany was like somewhere around here. He was saying, if East Germany rejoins West Germany, I promise that no NATO installations in West Germany will move into the territory of former East Germany, even though East Germany will be joining West Germany. Yeah, sorry. Even though East Germany will be joining West Germany and will become part of NATO, we promise you, Gorbachev, we're not going to move anything into the territory formerly held by East Germany. That's what not 1 inch eastward refers to. That's what the promise not to expand NATO eastward refers to. It didn't refer to anything else because at the time in 1990, guys, where could NATO have expanded to? Because Ukraine, Belarus, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia were all part of the Soviet Union. Poland was its own country, but it was part of the Warsaw Pact. These countries down here, they were part of the Warsaw Pact. There was nowhere east for NATO to go when this agreement was struck. After the Soviet Union fell apart and all these countries became free, they all started joining NATO. And that had nothing to do with putting military installations in East Germany. I think there still aren't any military installations in East Germany as per that agreement. But now they're even further east in Poland. But that's a different agreement. NATO's not a lie. What the fuck?
Forced anybody to join NATO.
Yeah.
Those countries joined NATO voluntarily.
Yes, they did. So this whole idea that Putin had this assurance and the West went back on their own deal. No, that's not how it happened. That's not how it was.
It was never written.
It was never like that.
It was just talks. And it wasn't even. It's only talks if you interpret it in certain ways.
And moreover, Ukraine's not even in NATO. And I'm not even sure. I mean, they probably want to be in NATO now. Like, it makes complete sense. Like, at this point,
they wanted to join for a long time, but we said no.
If peace comes and Russia leaves Ukraine's gonna be like, dude, can we fucking join NATO, please? Holy shit, can we please fucking join NATO? Like, they're gonna be like, please, God, we don't want this to happen again. Like, fair enough, right? And also, yes, Russia signed the treaty to respect Ukrainian sovereignty in return for nukes. Yes, that's the second half of this argument is the Budapest Agreement. Okay, do you know about this one, Lilith?
You'll have to refresh it a little bit.
Okay, so Kazakhstan, which is over here, Ukraine, and Belarus, after the split up of the Soviet Union, still had Soviet nuclear weapons within their borders. And the agreement was that Russia, the United Kingdom, and the USA would guarantee and respect the territorial sovereignty of Belarus, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan if they gave up all of their nukes to Russia.
Yes, I knew about this. I just forgot the name.
Yeah. And so, Russia is in violation of that agreement by attacking Ukraine. Yes. So this idea that America's in violation because of the expansion of NATO, there was never any agreement. But Russia is in violation of agreement they actually signed.
Agreement.
Yes.
Yeah. Ukraine was supposed to be guaranteed protection from Russia and from the West.
And moreover, I think I can probably say this, even though some people in the chat aren't going to like it. So here we go. Look at the map of the NATO bases. They surround Eurasia entirely, and now having a NATO country right at the borders of Russia, and the president of Sankirji publicly requests nuclear weaponry. Aerozub, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania are already on the border of Russia, and they're already NATO countries. So the Dev's dropping the Metal Gear lore right now. So, guys, I'm going to give you a hot take, okay? NATO's actually good. Okay? I've been thinking about this, and I think NATO's actually a positive force. And here's why, okay? NATO is a completely defensive alliance. And the whole idea behind it is if you attack one country, every other country will come and attack you. So yes, it is. No, I agree, Aiden Paladin. At this point, yeah, they should have not just trusted Moscow's word. They should have kept their nukes. But here's the thing, all right? So if someone attacks Poland, if someone attacks Poland, for example, every other country in NATO, Canada, the United States, Germany, France, United Kingdom, everyone, they are all bound to assist Poland. All right?
Yeah.
So the idea is
Russia is automatically heavily discouraged from fucking with Poland.
Yes. Or fucking with anybody else who's in NATO, right? So, if you're a country who's not in NATO, all right, if you're a country who is not in NATO, and you're on the border of, a large imperialist power, like how Ukraine is on the border of Russia, what stops you from getting conquered by that large imperialist power? Well, one is being in NATO, because you know that if you're in NATO, Russia can't fucking touch you because the entire world will come after you. Two is having your own nuclear weapons, because there is a mutually assured destruction idea that still exists, where you can't have two nuclear powers in direct conflict. That's why you have proxy wars. Proxy wars are destructive, but they're a lot less destructive than Russia and America actually going to war with each other. So how do you stop? How do you prevent getting attacked and absorbed by a larger imperialistic power that you're on the border of? One, join NATO. Two, have your own nukes. Ukraine gave up its own nukes in exchange for assurances that the Russians wouldn't attack them. The Russians broke that agreement. It makes complete sense, because Russia is still an imperialistic power. It makes complete sense. It makes complete sense for these smaller countries that are still wary of Russian aggression to be like, okay, guys, can you please just let us in the NATO club? Like, really, like, it'll be okay, right? Can you please just let us in so that we don't get fucked by Russia? Like, that, from their point of view, it makes complete sense to want that. Now, Russia doesn't want them to do it from their point of view, but from Ukraine's point of view, of course they would want to join NATO. Why the fuck wouldn't they?
Absolutely. They've been being threatened and invaded for a decade. Mm-hmm. It's like
Russia isn't imperialistic. You're so fucking stupid, dude. Holy shit. Russia isn't imperialistic. Okay, no pants baby. Listen. The West did convince Ukraine to give up nukes, because here's the other positive part of being in NATO. Being in NATO is a component of preventing the spread of nuclear weapons. Okay? Because if you're not in NATO and you have to face down a larger, more imperialist power, then it's good for you to have nukes, but it's bad when anyone has them. So the idea is, if everyone's in NATO, for example, now Poland being in NATO doesn't need nuclear weapons because it has the back of all these countries, including the Americans, have Poland's back. These countries here, they don't need their own nukes because all these other countries have their back. So in this way, if Latvia, for example, were not in NATO and Russia was eyeing Latvia for conquest, maybe the Latvian government's like, should we start building nuclear weapons so they don't fucking do this? Like, if you want to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons, you join NATO. Done. Like, NATO is a good force in that regard because it prevents nukes from being spread.
Yeah, because otherwise, how else is a tiny country supposed to defend themselves against a country like Russia?
Yeah. So like the Russians are doing exactly what makes sense for them
Yeah,
to do.
it's also why Sweden and Finland are looking to join NATO now.
Yeah, after they see this shit, they're like, holy fuck, if they're just going to attack Ukraine, like Finland's next. Maybe we should either get nuclear weapons or join NATO. And they're going to be like, well, we should probably join NATO, like.
And as a response, Russians have been sending warplanes in Swedish and Finnish airspace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here's the thing. Yeah,
doing,
Ukraine is not in NATO, but that's because Ukraine is not in NATO. But sorry, this is someone in the chat saying this. I wanted to reply before it scrolls off. Ukraine is not in NATO, but they've only recently had that switch towards a more pro-Western government. They had some pro-Russia governments for a while, then those ones got voted out. Cooper's calling me a neo-lib warhawk. Oh God, no! Listen. Okay, you're not gonna like this, okay? But the expansion of NATO, to a point, there's obviously a breaking point for everything, but the expansion of NATO generally promotes peace, okay? Because the reason that there is no attempts by Russia, which is, again, it's still an imperialist power, there's no attempts by Russia to reinvade and reconquer Latvia or Estonia, is because they're part of NATO, all right? I'm sure they want to, but that war is why it's happened. Is that war is why it's not. Sorry, that them joining NATO is why that war isn't happening. Okay, so yeah, it makes the Russians fucking angry and pissed and butthurt that they can't just go and conquer other countries and remake their former empire, because that is what they want to do. But you know what? It prevents war.
Yeah. It prevents war, and you know what? Too bad you don't get to bring back all the former Soviet border.
Mm-hmm. Oh God, people in the chat are saying
Soviet Union's gone.
They didn't get voted out. Oh God. All right. The pro-Russian government was overthrown by the United States and guys like Soros. It was a violent coup. I keep hearing that. I have not seen any evidence to show that yet. I'm sorry. I just haven't. I just haven't seen that evidence. Like, I think that when it comes to revolutions, when the revolution doesn't benefit a government, they're going to say, oh, it was funded and backed by foreign imperialists. They're trying to subvert us. And when it was actually a popular revolution, it's going to be like, it was legitimate. It's the will of the people. Like, it's propaganda either way. All right, guys? It's propaganda either way. Holy fuck. Everyone's calling me a warhawk, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the same issue we had last time in the last stream. Yes, defending your interests from an aggressive imperialist invader means that you're the warhawk. Holy shit. Guys, where are your fucking brains?
The only way to not be a warhawk is just to lie down and die and let everybody roll over you. Don't you see? You're being a warmonger right now. You're horrible.
I never thought
Ukraine shouldn't defend itself. It should just give up right away and just let Russia impose whatever.
Hey, you know how like I never thought I would see right wingers parrot Trudeau when Trudeau said, "If you fight your enemies, they win."
Yeah.
Oh my God. Hold on. If NATO promotes peace, why do they kill Gaddafi? Didn't, like, random people kill Gaddafi in Libya?
Yeah.
The Vox strategy of letting the angry mob kill you.
Yeah. I would have simply let the angry mob roll over.
Someone says, watch what the Lotus Eaters made today. Neither side is good in this. You know what? I'm actually, like, reasonably sympathetic to the idea that just in terms of the political maneuvering of states, neither side is morally good, because that is the nature of geopolitics. You have states and their interests. You don't really have morals unless things are like really extreme. Morals don't really play a factor into it. So I understand that position. But at the same time, all of us here right now, you and I, Lilith, the people in the chat, none of us are states. None of us operate within the realm of geopolitics. So we can be moral about this, and we can have moral-based takes. Which is why I can say something like, NATO's, regardless of various misdeeds by the member states, NATO is generally a pretty good thing, because if your country's part of NATO, nobody else is going to fuck with you, because if they fuck with you, the price is just too high. The price of war will be too high. So you know what? They're not going to bother fighting you. So there you go. That's pretty good. That seems to be a pretty good deal,
Yeah, it's the Gadsden flag. The snake, fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
Literally just leave them alone.
Yes, let's see. In November 2013, a wave of large-scale protests erupted in response to President Yanukovych's sudden decision to not sign a political association and free trade agreement with the European Union, instead choosing closer ties to Russia and the Eurasian Economic Union. The Ukrainian parliament had overwhelmingly approved the finalizing the agreement with the EU. Russia had put pressure on Ukraine to reject it. The protests continued for months, eventually with calls for resignation of Yanukovych and his government. Protesters opposed what they saw as widespread government corruption and abuse of power, the influence of oligarchs, police brutality, and the violation of human rights in Ukraine. So, a paragraph like that can be spun either way, right? You can say that the legitimately elected government of Ukraine has chosen to move in Russia's direction, and that these protesters are just rabble-rousers and they don't represent the will of the people. They're violent. They're insurrectionaries. They can be labeled the way that Trudeau labeled the truckers. All right, as a loud minority that is interfering with the people's freedom and needs to be silenced. Or you can look at it the other way, where these protesters actually do represent the will of the people, and the government is corrupted because the parliament did overwhelmingly approve the agreement, but it was the president who vetoed it. And so this is actually just Russia putting pressure on a president that is a puppet, and the actual will of the people is to move away from Russia, and so we're going to protest and demand things be changed. So either way, like, both narratives fit the facts as they currently exist. So I understand the Russian point of view, but I'm not Russian. I don't need to take up their point of view or to follow their morality. Aiden Paladin.
It's good to analyze.
Yes.
Where they're coming from.
Also, my bank account never got frozen, dude. I'm good. Okay, someone just says, Aiden Paladin says, Dev, if you're playing a 4X game and another player stacks a ton of troops all around your border, what do you think is going to happen? That's the whole point of NATO, is that NATO is a defensive alliance only. That's why NATO didn't completely dissolve when nobody else in NATO chose to go into Iraq with America. But everyone joined America in Afghanistan. That's the difference.
Yeah.
NATO is a defensive only alliance. And it does exist in part to defend against Russian aggression. And you know what? Russia's aggressive. You can't say it's not an imperialist power. Holy fuck. That's what's happening.
Oh, they're them bombing all those buildings in Ukraine. They're just doing it defensively.
Yeah.
They had no choice.
Mm-hmm. It's all defensive, right? Now, hold on. Dev, let's clear the air. Do you support direct military intervention in Ukraine? This includes declaration of no-fly zones. No, because Ukraine is not part of NATO. But if Ukraine was, then yes. However, if, for example, peace is reached and Russia pulls out and things return to, it's not going to return to a normal, but let's say it did, and then Ukraine joined NATO, then yes. And then it happened again, then yes. All right? That's the point. Defensive alliances. All right? Okay. So, the U.S. promised Russia in 1991 they would not expand NATO. We lied to them. We continue to lie to them. Why should they trust defensive only? Aiden Paladin, you're wrong. You're provably wrong. We went over earlier in the stream. That's just like a falsehood. It's 100% falsehood. We went over that claim already. I can go over it again just for you if you want, but you're wrong. You're factually inaccurate. Russia is a myth. It doesn't exist. Oh shit. The globalists have really got us now.
Well, can't argue with that.
Okay. So, now there's also a bunch of copium on the left side of the aisle where people think that there's going to be this this great effort on the part of the Ukrainians, and they're going to pull out, and they're going to manage to beat back the Russian invader, and liberal democracy is going to win.
Not leftward. There's, as we know, there's a lot of left-wing people who are staunchly pro-Russia. But I think you meant to say it in like the liberal democracy copium.
It will also there are non-tanky socialists who are also coping in the same way.
There are, yeah.
But they're wrong. They're wrong. They're also wrong.
Usually leftists who don't have any ideas other than just West
Aiden, God, I have to respond to Aiden because she's somebody who is I respect, but she's just wrong. No, it wasn't a promise. They didn't pinky swear. They didn't promise at all. What you've heard was wrong. Okay. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So, here's what's happening recently in Ukraine, okay? And why the Ukrainians have seen early victories, but they're still fucked. Because there's tales of like javelin missiles destroying like Russian armor. There's tales of like Russian soldiers being killed in like large numbers, and they're being kidnapped, and they're defecting, and they're calling home and saying like, "Mom, how could they have done this to us? Like we sent them with no support. Like it's all terrible." All right, okay. So, despite all of these things, Ukraine is still going to lose. Okay? Ukraine's still going to lose. What seems to be happening, as far as I can tell, is that Putin has drastically underestimated the amount of resistance that he was going to face in Ukraine. And that's why everything was done, like for the first couple weeks, it was done like in a bullshit manner. You know, he rolled in like he brought in he brought in Russian armor without any kind of supply lines. They're going out there without food. They're going out there without like there's no real air support. I think
running
Putin
out of gas.
Yeah,
stuck in mud.
Yep. I think what
blown
happened.
up by St. Javelin.
Yep. I think what happened is that Putin believed that they would be able to just roll in, take everything real quick, and then they would be able to install a puppet government that would hold a referendum. The referendum would say, we actually like Russia, we're going to join Russia now, and then they would become a part of Russia. Because, like I said earlier in the stream, that is how Russia has always operated. They did that in Crimea, they did that in Georgia, they did it when they were the Soviet Union, they did it when they were the Russian Empire. Okay? So I think the amount of resistance that the Russian forces have faced has slowed Russia down immensely, but it's not going to stop Russia, because I think what'll happen. Have you seen the Redditors who are regretting volunteering? Not yet. That sounds great if you want to send it to me.
You have to remember though that subreddit has been just filled with jokes and trolls. So you don't know if that's true or not. Somebody did when I brought Wings of Redemption, because somebody did post a picture of Wings holding a rifle, and it's just like, I'm going to Ukraine, guys. Like they expect a 3-year commitment. Don't do it, guys.
So yeah, like I think that Putin thought he could just take the country real quick, and then install a puppet government, and then they would vote to join Russia, and he would be another piece in remaking the old empire.
Or he just thinks they're going to surrender right away as soon as they roll in. I don't think Putin expected Zelensky to stay and fight, in Ukraine and fight for a million years. Mm-hmm. But
So, but even though they're facing more resistance, that doesn't mean that Ukraine's going to win. I think absolutely Ukraine's going to lose this long term. We still haven't seen Russia really ramp up its armor. We haven't seen them ramp up their air game, and they're known very they're considered very top tier in their air game. We haven't seen them ramp up any artillery whatsoever. Russia, in terms of just pure military strength, Russia's gonna win, and they just haven't brought in they haven't brought out the big guns yet. I think now that Putin is basically facing, this multi-pronged disaster, he's going to like take a breath, regroup, and then roll in with a more serious invasion game. And then I think Ukraine is absolutely fucked. Like completely fucked. Of course, other things have happened since then, though, because who knows, right? Because economically, things have changed. The Russian ruble is now worse, less than fucking, like I said before, less than Robux, probably less than World of Warcraft Gold. The Russian stock exchange is permanently closed because they know as soon as they open, everything's crashing. Russia's returned to the gold standard, which I know that like libertarians are like gold standard. You only really return to the gold standard if your economy is like mega fucked, and you need something more than the authority of your state to back a dollar, because your state no longer has any actual authority on the world stage. I think that the TLDR of this whole thing is that Russia doesn't want Ukraine in NATO, obviously. But it's not because Russia's scared. It's like, oh, NATO's surrounding us. No, it's because Russia wants to fuck with Ukraine. Russia wants to fuck with Ukraine and take it over. However, it's not willing to stand up to America directly to do that.
They already have, like you said, they already have NATO nations bordering them.
Yeah. The reason that it
if
hasn't
that was
tried
the big concern, they would have said something or done something earlier.
Yes.
But
yes.
They have some space for control over Ukraine and some leverage over them not being a direct NATO member, and that's why they're able to invade.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I haven't seen Aiden Paladin in the chat in a while. Did my talking to her directly make her leave? I'm sorry, Aiden. I didn't mean for that. If you're still there. But yeah, so I think the TLDR is that Russia doesn't want Ukraine in NATO, not because they're scared, but because they just want to fuck Ukraine up. But they're not willing to stand up directly to America for to fuck up Ukraine. That's why they haven't invaded Latvia or Estonia or these other places. So I think they're okay. Why, Dev? For what purpose? Because Putin is evil? No, not because Putin is evil, but because Russia is also an imperialist expansionist state. They want their old territories back. Of course they do. Like,
yeah, from their perspective, Ukraine was historically Russian, and
yes,
they have Russian speakers and people who are ethnically Russian in Ukraine. So, because it was ours before, it should be ours again.
Yep.
China has a similar thing with Inner Mongolia.
Yep. And with Tibet, with Taiwan, with all this stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, not Taiwan, though, because the Chinese Communist Party never had a claim to Taiwan. They never conquered it.
Yeah, but there's still like, this is one China. Yeah, I know. The issue with NATO is that Gorbachev has changed his story on the expansion. Aiden, there was a bunch of declassified stuff from 2017 that shows he hasn't changed his story. Invite her on. God, Aiden and I are friends. I'm not afraid of Aiden Paladin. Come on, guys. Come on. This is not a blood sports channel. Yeah. In any case, though, that seems to be the TLDR on things. There's a lot of copium on the right about how Russia is correct and Russia good, defending traditional Europeanism or whatever the fuck, defending traditional Christianity.
Though.
Yeah, just
He's
propaganda.
Saying that to appeal to right wingers in the U.S. in the West.
Mm-hmm. And then on the left, there's also copium about how Ukraine's gonna win, and it's like nope, copium everywhere. It's all fucking copium. Everyone's copium. Everything's copium.
Yeah. Ukraine, there's no way Ukraine's going to win. I think if anybody thinks Ukraine was going to win, they're delusional.
I'm the opposite of afraid of Aiden. I think Aiden has a boyfriend, dude. He's aroused by her and wants to change her mind about monarchism with the power of dick. Giga Chad. So, I think that's everything that I've prepared in terms of like all the, like we like the cables and the dumb takes. The idea that joining NATO promotes peace just because no one's willing to go to war with you if you're part of NATO because no one wants to get fucking nuked by America. It's like, okay, yeah, fair enough. Like, here, let me put it this way, guys. Here. I want to see a three-way between Aiden, SFO, and the other chick. Are you... All right, guys. All right, chat. Just simmer down for a second, okay?
And a discussion, right?
So if Ukraine were actually part of NATO before 2014, hypothetically, like, do you think that Crimea would have happened? No. Do you think that this invasion would have happened? No. So absolutely, I do absolutely think that joining up with NATO generally promotes peace. Putin got rid of COVID. Give him that. Fair enough, right? Fair enough. No one gives a shit about COVID restrictions anymore because we're all talking about NATO and Ukraine. Okay. You know what? There we go. Okay. Thanks, Putin. I appreciate it.
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
So what do you, oh God. There's still like some weird shit in the chat. Okay. Lilith, what do you want to say? Do you have anything?
Oh yes, I linked an article earlier.
Okay, I'll grab it. Let me just grab it real quick.
About Russian lawmakers puts forward a legislation that would conscript military anyone.
Oh, it's not an article. It's a tweet.
Protesting.
Is it real though?
No. There's a Medusa in English.
Okay, let's see if I can find it.
.io.
All right, got it. Okay.
It's not just a tweet. There's like sources in the tweet.
Got it. I'm gonna pull it up. Oh wait, no, hold on. Okay, got it. Give me a second, guys. We're gonna take a look at this. Let me pull the chat back up so I can see what you're saying. I'll read the super chats at the end, by the way, guys. So thanks very much for all the supports. Okay. Russian lawmakers have put forward legislation that would conscript into the military anybody prosecuted for protesting the invasion of Ukraine. That sounds crazy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Lawmakers from the Liberal Democratic Party of Russia have submitted a draft law to the State Duma that would conscript into the military anybody prosecuted for participating in unsanctioned protests opposing the deployment of Russian troops abroad. What's more, the bill suggests sending prosecuted protesters for military service on the territories of the self-proclaimed Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics in eastern Ukraine. So, like, it's pretty fucked up. But I can kind of see, I can get the irony where it's like, oh, you protested attacking Ukraine. Well, now we're going to make you attack Ukraine. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
It's grim.
Yeah. But that is also a great way to start to have units defect. You know, you roll in a unit of Russians who don't want to be there, who fucking hate their own country now, who are pro-Ukraine, and they just fucking defect. Like, of course, like, that's going to happen. That's going to fucking happen.
I don't know if that legislation would pass as it was presented by I believe the minority party.
Yeah.
Of Russia.
It might pass, but I don't think so.
It's so grim, and even just presenting it, it's a scare tactic designed to discourage people from protesting against the war in Russia. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I have infinite respect for not only the people who are fighting against, like the non-Nazis, obviously, who are fighting against Russia and protecting their home, mm-hmm. as well as the Russian people protesting at home against their government's policy.
Yeah. I can tell you for a fact, Russians view Ukrainians as their serfs. Yeah. Like, this whole Ukraine was part of Russia, and so they have a claim to it. Yeah, the last time Ukraine was part of Russia, they committed the Holodomor on them. I can see why they would want to be fucking independent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Christ.
I have a lot of reason to not want to be a part of that.
Yeah. And yeah, NATO members can't attack each other, so it builds peace in Europe. Yeah, that too. You know, like you're not going to see Germany attacking France or France attacking Germany unless you want like the entirety of NATO to just expel you and then crush you, you know? The idea of a united bloc of liberal democracies that all have
Unless you're Turkey.
roughly the same values. Yeah, Turkey is like what the fuck is wrong with Turkey? Turkey's fucking wild. Turkey shouldn't even be in NATO, I don't think.
They really shouldn't be in NATO, honestly.
So Aiden says, this is because it's not in a document, then it's not real. Yes. Chad, yes. When it comes to states, Chad, yes. That's what geopolitics is. Like, yeah. Oh shit, dude, I got this pinky promise from the Americans, they're not going to do anything. No. You have treaties. You have treaties for a reason.
I got this pinky promise from this one guy. He said it.
Yeah. I lent him $5. You told me to pay me back. What happened to my $5, dude?
I never owed you $5.
Yeah, man.
What are you talking about?
It's paper treaties that matter when it comes to states making decisions on a geopolitical level, not, you know, these unofficial assurances.
Yeah, it's why we're gonna keep expanding NATO.
Mm-hmm.
It's why it's gonna keep expanding. Yeah.
Based
Finland and Sweden for wanting to join us. Sweden, yes, unironically.
Mm-hmm. Oh god, everyone keeps saying that NATO was built for the USSR explicitly. It wasn't. All right, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, also called the North Atlantic Alliance, is an intergovernmental military alliance among 28 European countries and 2 North American countries. Established in the aftermath of World War II, the organization implements the North Atlantic Treaty. It constitutes a system of collective security, whereby its independent member states agree to mutual defense in response to an attack by any external party. Any external party.
Yep, includes China.
Mm-hmm.
Or other people.
Anyone.
Yeah.
Before Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, President Vladimir Putin of non-member Russia had demanded that NATO promise to stop expanding east to countries such as Ukraine, Georgia, or Moldova, a condition that NATO refused. Refused. Now, you can say that Russia doesn't like that NATO's expanding, and I'm sure it doesn't. Fair enough. But it never agreed not to. That's the point. If NATO should expand, then China deserves Taiwan and to expand. It's only fair. Charles, it's not about fairness. In this instance, it's not okay. There's a lot of things that are about fairness, but geopolitics isn't one of them. All right? Geopolitics is about competing ideologies. And we can definitely make the claim that liberal democracy good and authoritarian socialism and authoritarian fascism bad. And so, you know, expansion of NATO good and repression of those other systems is also good. We can just say that, all right? We don't have to be fair about this. We don't have to say that, well, China deserves Taiwan. No. Because you know what? I'm not a member of the Chinese Communist Party. I do not need to consider their point of view when I make my own moral analysis of a situation. In much the same way that I don't need to consider the morality of the pedophile when I'm judging him for his pedophilia. All right? We do not need to consider every single person's point of view on some things. That's just how it is.
Yeah. Russia invading Ukraine means people will suffer and people will die.
Mm-hmm.
And people have been suffering and dying. And that's worthy of condemnation.
Deb is literally oh God.
I think it's kind of pointless to go, oh, context? When somebody's beating the shit out of somebody else.
So hold on. Dev is literally just my team good. I'm going to drop some fucking truth bombs here, guys. Everyone, at all times, in all situations, in all conversations, regardless of your politics or your position or anything else.
No.
Everyone is my team good. Everyone. All the time. That is what morality is. All right? This is gonna be a hot take. But if you boil down all morality, even people who are like, I'm a consequentialist. No, you're not. You're a fucking liar. If you say you're a consequentialist or you're a utilitarian, you're just a liar. All right? All of morality boils down to what you prefer. Okay? All right? Okay. So, for example,
right now, liberal democracy is better than fascist autocracy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't think there's like even a two sides to it. It's just one side is clearly better than the other.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If people want to live on the other side, then people should be able to. There's nothing really. I don't know. I feel like there should be like a program where we just send everybody in the West who hates America and just
just piece them all out. Go live in China for a while.
Go to be where you want to be.
So I guess if I want to put here, okay. So there are a lot of people who claim that they are consequentialists or they're utilitarians. They're not interested in the old ideas of religious morality or whatever. They only care about, good ends, the consequences, the outcomes. What utility is there? Well, you know what? That's all just cope. It's not actually how they think. You can talk to somebody. It's like, well, why shouldn't we kill gay people? Give me a consequentialist reason why we shouldn't kill gay people. And they're going to say, well, killing people is wrong, and it's better if you don't oppress people, and gay people, they don't deserve to be killed just for being gay. Okay, fair enough. But then you talk to a guy who's, say, a hardcore Islamist, and then you have him give you his consequentialist reasons as to why he should kill gay people. And he'll say, well, we're enforcing the Sharia, and we're following God's will, and society is better because we've purged the degenerates. And he will give you a list of consequences that he views as good consequences using the same logic. So all morality, people use things like consequentialism just to make themselves sound smarter or sound more superior. They're just fucking stupid. All morality boils down to what you like. As simple as that. Okay? So this idea that it operates in any other way when it comes to, say, talking about the morality of geopolitics, no, it absolutely does. I can say something like, I prefer the values of tolerance and openness and democracy and personal rights and private property and capitalism, and so I generally think a liberal government is better. And therefore, expanding the power of liberal governments, not to oppress their own people, but to stand up against, for example, non-liberal governments that are much more authoritarian, that's good. And I can just say that. and that will just be my preference.
And that's not to say you can't criticize your own system either.
Exactly,
You can criticize your own system without wanting somebody else to take over, because to me, that's just cook behavior.
Yes, absolutely.
If you would really genuinely rather live under Russia or China, then you should just go there.
Mm-hmm.
If you genuinely think that their system is preferable to ours, then you should go. But I don't think it's a good thing for, say, China to export their brand of communism with Chinese characteristics to Tibet or Hong Kong or Taiwan, because the people don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to change no matter how many people they move into those places.
Yeah. There are people who are saying
the people that are living there originally is not on board, and to impose your idea upon them, it's oppression.
No, I agree. So someone in the chat actually made a good point. Is what we have right now a liberal government? Is the neoliberal project truly free? See, now I agree with that point of view. However, you know what? The current neoliberal nightmare that we currently live under, it's closer to the ideal, and it's also easier to fix than, for example, a Russian fascist oligarchy. Okay? So, not good. I don't like any of the things that are currently happening in Canada, for example, but better than the alternative. Okay?
Because the alternative is having one strong man replace another strong man.
Easier to fix. Fix the WEF.
It's just
Oh, God.
fucking hell.
Chat, just because I'm not pro-Russian doesn't mean that I'm not pro-World Economic Forum. And what do you think is easier to fix? The Russian government, which has more or less maintained the same type of corruption for the past, 1,500 years? Or Klaus Schwab's group of fucking cronies he runs this activist organization that has definitely put people into various governments, but it's not nearly the same type of thing. The WEF is evil, and it's going to be hard to dislodge it, but it's a lot easier tackling them than, for example, the Russians. All right, or just Russia's okay. No, fuck. Oh my God. Oh, God. You can dislike both of them. Okay? You can dislike both of them.
Yep. You can dislike things about the West. It's like what Russia's doing.
Mm-hmm. I don't need to suddenly become a fucking Russian simp just because the West has been retarded recently.
Yeah.
The WEF is a much greater threat than Russia. No. Absolutely not. I wholeheartedly disagree. Even as bad as the WEF is, no.
How are they even comparable? I just don't think they're even remotely comparable to.
Yep.
I mean, they're bad, but apples and oranges.
Here's the thing. Okay, so Trudeau's government has people in has people who are part of the WEF. All right. So you know how you change that? You work real hard. You get a conservative victory in the next election because Pierre Poilievre, whatever his name is, he's not going to have any WEF members, or at least significantly less in his cabinet. There you go. That's how you win. This process of removing the WEF from the Canadian government is a lot closer, a lot more achievable, and a lot less violent than overthrowing fucking Russia, guys. So yes, I think Russia is the bigger threat than the WEF. I can't believe this is even a fucking conversation. They're both bad, but I've been beating this drum for a little while now. Like, the drum is things are bad, but don't make them worse than they are, because then you're just going to end up crying wolf. Like, there are people who are saying that Trudeau is now this dictator with unlimited power because of the Emergency Act thing. And it's like, no. He did some pretty bad shit. I don't like it. It's a problem. It needs to be fixed. But he's not the fucking Kaiser. He's not the Kaiser of Canada, all right, guys?
Yeah. Trudeau's more like a clown than anything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll do a WEF video soon enough. I've been saving stuff up. I will do a video on that garbage fucking group. Stop beating the drum, beat your balls instead. You'll get more out of it. Oh, yeah, Trudeau honking video next week.
Trudeau honking?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I'm going to do a Biden State of the Union video tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm going to do... Let me just see what I got here. What do I got? I'm going to do a video on wokeism as a religion, seriously analyzing that meme. I'm going to do a review of the book of Boba Fett. I'm going to do an analysis of Carl Schmitt's friend-enemy distinction. And I'm going to do a video on Joe Rogan. And then I'm going to do a video on the honkening. That is the lineup. For unless something crazy happens, those are all the videos that I've currently written and recorded, and I'll be editing them over the weekend. So there you go, guys. All the videos are coming. Oh, and also, before I get into the super chats, I think we're just kind of chatting now. So before I get into the super chats, I pinned in the chat the gaming stream. Please go follow it, because tonight is Friday, and every Friday I team up with other channels and we play a night of Borderlands 2. So it's a big old crossover event every Friday night, so please consider following the gaming channel. Let me pull up the super chats. We can start answering them. Have you been watching the new Attack on Titan? It's so good.
Me?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's so good.
I've just been catching up. I got to season 3, and I'm gonna get to the last season soon. Just got so much real life shit going on.
Yeah. I've been watching like the new season. Oh my god, it's fucking incredible. All right, let's pull the super chats out. I've got them here. Okay.
Yeah, but you might get disappointed by the ending though.
Let's pull out the video here. Here we go. Shut up about Amy, you stupid weeaboo. No. From Kyle, $5. People who support Russia because they dislike Biden or the EU are the real my team good, and Russia isn't woke people have no historical knowledge. Yep. I think you guys, you can always say that two things are bad and bad in different ways. Like, it's okay. It's all right. Okay? It's fine. Attack on Titan is your own version of Marvel, Avengers, Harry Potter, Star Wars. I will do an AOT political analysis video once the series is done. Anton for 100 rubles. Thanks, pal. Michael McFowle says that me not throwing a Molotov cocktail at the Kremlin is me supporting Putin's regime. Bruh. Jesus.
Who said that?
That's a Russian guy who's watching right now. Sometimes you can't afford
we didn't
to fight.
Say that.
No, someone else said that though. Someone told him that. Yeah. Do a fake Raytheon ad read.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, like sometimes you can't afford to engage in active rebellion against their government because like it's not that bad yet, and you have like a life. Like, wait, the otaku fears the paladin. I don't fear Aiden Paladin. Come on, guys. Come on. Trash Panda for $5. Ah, yes, the WEF, the neo-fascist Cthulhu, the hentai creature penetrating the world's governments in all the wrong ways. Do you know what the WEF is, Lilith?
I've heard a little. It's like a sort of political pact. Not really a political pact. A coalition sort of deal in Canada, right?
It's more than Canada. It's basically it's a group of people who are pretty rich, and they have within their group a bunch of various politicians from various countries, and they have an agenda, and it all sounds very like New World Order kind of reptilian shapeshifter, globalist elites kind of thing, and I think they view themselves as that, but they don't actually have any real power. They don't directly control these offices or these countries. They just influence the people who sometimes hold the offices. And so they have this, they have an agenda. It's a very like globalist, socialist type of agenda. And it's not good, but also it's more of a, let's get together and try to convince people to do what we want, and less of a, we rule you from the shadows. You know what I mean?
I see.
Yeah. I'll do a video on them. Have you actually seen my recent videos? I know that my last 4 videos have been on like trans things or like kind of trans adjacent. And I know Fried liked them. Frida.
Oh, yeah, I gotta check them out, honestly. I didn't even know you made trans content.
I made 4 videos that probably should be watched in order. And they are critical of some of the crazier parts of the trans community. But I don't think they're transphobic. But like there was one person who was trans and was using like a past trauma to say that they couldn't do the dishes. And so they're making their cis roommates do all the dishes. And it's like, what the fuck?
I think that's got very little to do with being trans, though.
I know, but like the idea is like
the person being a jerk.
They were using their identity as like a shield to like give me more consideration, and it's like, fuck, come on. Okay, so let's see here. Are we allowed to retake historic territory or territories holding our ethnic group? Nice time to absorb Canada, Australia, and New Zealand into the UK. and America, to be honest. Like, if that's the
Yeah.
argument, why couldn't you just reform the British Empire? No?
Yeah. It was their land. Ethnically,
Yeah.
they're similar.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They speak the same language.
Reform the British Empire. Okay, Red Dirt Runner. Ukraine shut off water to Crimea before it started killing off 80% food production. As far as it can be said, Russia has more to gain than lose. Yeah, I mentioned that in the last stream, that there was an artificial canal that sent water from a Ukrainian river to Crimea when Ukraine owned Crimea. And as soon as Russia took Crimea over, Ukraine naturally shut the canal off. And I think a big part locally of why Russia wants certain areas in Ukraine is to get that water moving again.
Yeah.
This is a guy named Pietron from, I don't even know what currency this is. 25 somethings. Thank you. Which European political commentators do you listen to? I mean, Sargon. Not many, though, to be honest. Like Kraut, but Kraut's in Germany. He does mostly history now. Not many. $5 from Papuk, just $5. Thank you. Less common knowledge for $13.99. Thank you. Ukraine can hold out for months, but only months, unless something drastic changes, such as an internal revolution in Russia or someone like Turkey joins the war. Yeah, I think that's the case too. I think long game Ukraine loses, but they're going to make it hard on them. They're going to make them pay for it.
Yep. And they should.
Yeah. Newtonia for $50. Thank you. Look into the Nuland Piat phone call. Look into the tragedy of the Maiden Square. Look into the Estonian investigation of Poroshenko's snipers. I don't know what any of those things are. So maybe I'm missing a big part of the conversation, but I could look into them, sure.
Well, the snipers thing, like, sources on that is a little bit conflicted. Some people say it's a... Yeah, the sniper where they, sorry, I was thinking of a different case. You're talking about, during the previous Ukrainian president, right?
I don't know. That is just what the super chat says, is those three things.
Oh, sorry. I guess I wasn't paying enough attention.
Yeah, I don't know what any of those things are, but I guess I'll have to look into them for the next time.
Yes,
okay. Toot for $5. Ukraine deserves to fall to Russia for barring men from leaving the country but letting women leave, getting them easy mode yet again. Oh shit, the MGTOWs. We should have equality. Make the women fight. £5 from oversaturated market. Watching Yanks act like them and their competitors are the only ones with sovereignty has been peeving me. Well, I'm not a Yankee, so it's okay.
Yeah, and Russia's sovereignty doesn't include Ukraine.
Yes, true. Marangatu for $2. Dev must squeak, speak, and be cringe in the RP. I'm not doing it. Fuck you guys. The Revenge Society for $5. I'm not here to have a conversation, man. Talk about the war. Ban anyone that knows what I said. Wait, what? What does that even... What the fuck? Okay, fine. Russian Bot Lounge for $10. It's important to keep in mind that the Russian government and the Russian people are separate entities. Of course, there are people who are like...
Absolutely.
I see in Germany right now, there are people who are like attacking Russians in the street and like destroying Russian stores. And it's like, chill the fuck out.
Yeah, there was like a store that got paint sprayed on it and windows broken.
Mm-hmm.
In Germany.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good.
Newtonia.
And I think it's kind of like and also like books on Trotsky were banned, even though Trotsky was notorious for criticizing the Russian government.
He was also a fucking commie, though.
He was a commie, but it's dumb to he was Russian, so let's ban him.
Yeah. Oh, Dostoevsky got banned, and Dostoevsky's fucking amazing. He's probably the greatest thing that Russia ever produced, Dostoevsky. Let's see here.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb to just ban anything Russian. like I get people wanting to do what they can to make a difference and make like the citizens want to support the war less.
Yeah.
But it's just this is just you don't get to be racist against like a. I think some people just really they want an acceptable target to hate,
Yep.
and it's you know what if you hate Putin and the Russian oligarchs, all power to you. They deserve to be hated. They deserve all the shit. But that's not pass that on to the regular Russian citizen. It's just like as we showed earlier, many may risk getting like arrested or even conscripted against their will.
Conscripted, yeah, that's true. Yeah, let's continue on here. I have to go in like 15 or 20 minutes. So Newtonia for 25.
Like,
this is a
sorry, I just wanted to end the point in saying.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just not everybody can protest, but the ones that do are brave and go on them, and go on people who don't directly support either. They don't deserve like racism. Racism is still bad.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, not a problem. Not a problem. $25 from Newtonia. This is a brother war. It shouldn't have happened. This is an 8-year-long tragedy born from mutual escalation that has its roots in the Euromaidan Revolution, and Putin's invasion is the climax of this horrendous story. Newtonia again. The Euromaidan Revolution, which has caused this horrendous conflict, was a regime change operation by the U.S. It's not a conspiracy. Please just start with the Nuland Payet phone call. All right. I'll look into it. All right. God damn it. Exploitalist. I'm looking at this as a Euro affair, but at least Germany is finally getting off its ass, and Poland is only getting more based. Yeah, if you get the Germans to finally like say maybe we should like rearm and take stances, it's gonna be a bad time for everyone involved. Someone said that Sitch covered the coup, the coup stuff. Talk to him. Apparently it's bullshit. Okay, I'll talk to Sitch. All right. Papa Piker says NATO broke a deal and Zelensky arrested his opposition. Well, if Zelensky arrested his opposition, I don't know. How is that related to NATO? Like, no, NATO didn't break any deal. That was wrong. Darth Sonic. I mostly agree on this, but at least as far as media is concerned, Western legacy media is so untrustworthy that I can sympathize with people wanting to hear Russia's side of things. I mean, I get that too, but let's not pretend that like Russia Today is somehow this this bastion of objectivity, you know? No, it's just like every other state media. Avery says, come join Wagner's Whittle Wieners. Okay.
No thanks.
Durr0694 says, remember, Hitler was a socialist. Yes. Based. I'm still going to have to do my Hitler was a socialist video and like definitively prove it. Because I have the proofs in the pudding. Local Raven for $5. NATO should play the ultimate reverse Uno card and invite Russia into NATO. Who will be their enemy then? The thing is, that would probably destroy NATO as soon as Russia attacks somebody who's in NATO. Brother Doom. No Russian ever called me a fascist. See, that is the no Viet Cong ever called me a nigger line from, who was it? Who said that?
Oof.
Was it Muhammad Ali? I think it was Muhammad Ali. He basically he was objecting to the Vietnam draft, saying that he shouldn't fight for a country that treated him so badly as a black person, you know, in the 60s and 70s. Okay, yeah, you know, fair enough, right? No Russian ever called me a fascist, you know. I understand that point of view. Got it. Like,
but is that a justification to simp for them?
Yeah, exactly. Like, we can make the claim that the West has not behaved well recently. You know, okay, but neither has the East. Let's not pretend. Glory to Chad Dev. Glory to centrist Stan. Ooh. The entire chat is going. I was quoting Muhammad Ali. You fucks.
Yeah.
Hagnar the Viking. For $5. You dislike Russia because they want to take over other states. I dislike Russia because I want America to take over said states. We are not the same. Giga Chad. 6T76T for $5. I've seen lots of people saying that the world is paying attention to Ukraine and then the Middle East, like Palestine or Afghanistan. Thoughts? What do you mean? I can't quite parse the comment. Do you mean that like Ukraine's a distraction from other things happening? I mean, maybe. It's possible.
The U.S. should stop arming Saudi Arabia in a genocide against Yemen.
Yeah, obviously. Like, obviously, of course. Of course.
I think that's worth bringing up. But people only seem to bring up that in relation to Ukraine.
Mhm.
So I kind of feel like that in itself isn't a whataboutism.
Mhm.
I just wanted to say that that's bad. America shouldn't do that.
Agreed.
And we condemn it 100%.
Oh, there's Archcast in the chat. So Archcast has been bothering me to get into a call with you and I for like a year now. He's like, when is Devin Lilith going to talk to Arch? Over and over and over and over. I don't know, Lilith.
Okay.
When are we going to do it?
I guess whenever the time comes up.
Okay.
Whenever everybody wants to do it at the same time.
Okay, let's see here. Who's next? Watch the new Lotus Veators on destabilization of Ukraine. Okay, will do. I'll make sure to watch it. Generic for $2. If only those Russian bots were super chatting. Oh God, all the Russian bots. Hagnar the Viking. Women, we want voting rights. Also, women won't get forced into the armed forces and uphold civic duties for citizens with voting rights. Yeah, that's the argument against giving women the right to vote, is because there's no like women don't have to be drafted in times of war. I get it. Like it kind of makes sense.
Men have to be drafted. Women should too.
Yep, I agree. Papa Piker.
Absolutely.
A power that always expands. That's America. Yes, that is America as well. Generally, great powers tend to expand. The difference is which is good and which is bad. And I will make the argument that America's good. I don't know where to say this, but I think Dry Bread would be a good fit for the TubCast. You guys bounce off each other well. Yeah, we could always invite Dry Bread onto the TubCast as well. I've talked to him solo. We can always have him on the actual main show, sure. The Black Legion, donating for Ukraine, listening because of Lilith. Oh, you have a simp.
Thank you.
Hard for me to root out for any side since both lie out their ass against going out of style. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Dev is anti-Russia, but is he anti-bear?
Bears are cool.
What kind of bear do you mean there, buddy?
Regular bears. Care Bears. Gummy bears. Winnie the Pooh.
Let me just see. Apparently,
those are good bears.
So Arch is saying when are we gonna do it? When are we gonna do it? When are we gonna do it? Okay, Arch. I guess he wants to do it. Okay, let's see. COVID papers also dropped last week. All the side effects were released. 1, do a video on it, and 2, it gives you AIDS, and 3, let me in the tub. I don't know what the AIDS thing. Dude, but maybe. Hagnar the Viking. OMFG, you want an American empire? Hagnar, yes. Star Spangled Banner starts playing. The people that got angry.
You're number one.
America. The people that got angry with Trump.
Actually, no, you're Canadian.
That's true. Yes,
American.
I'm American in spirit. The people that got angry with Trump for retracting trans folk from the draft are now praising Biden for putting them in. They're now cursing Biden for fears of being drafted.
I don't mind being drafted. I mean, like,
you want to get drafted, Lilith?
I don't mind. if there's a draft and there's a draft, I'd rather, but I want there to be equality.
Yeah.
Either no draft at all, or equal across all boards with whether you're trans, you're cis, you're straight, you're gay, you're a man, you're a woman, you're non-binary, you're neither, nothing in between. You should all get drafted or nobody gets drafted.
You draft the eunuchs, guys. That's how it should be.
Yes.
Let's see here. Get Lilith in the Skaven RP. You man thing, you refuse to queek squeak. Your traitor skull belongs to Scrazzle, squeak. Lilith will be best Skaven, squeak. I'm not in charge of the Skaven RP. That's also up to Arch to have anybody else join the tabletop roleplay. One person for my hard R. RIP monetization. Take this. Thanks. Jonathan says, Swede here. Our isolationist far-right party just turned pro-NATO. That's a big shift from this war. Yeah, there's going to be a lot more people just like, dude, please just get us in fucking NATO right now before Russia attacks us. Please, God. So, okay, yeah, fair enough.
Why shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Just look at what they're doing.
Michael McFowle is a former U.S. ambassador. He's the kind of guy who believes that silence is violence. For him, a good Russian is an arrested Russian. Please, Saint Javelin, save Ukraine from Putin's soldiers. All will be drafted in my Canadian integration war when I'm POTUS.
May the sunflower fields bloom far and wide.
Let's see. Just to be public, apologies for not listening entirely to your last video and appreciative of you replying to me in the comments. Very cool, Dev. Oh, thanks. I don't remember. Were we arguing about something? I don't remember, but all right. Oh, yeah. I should probably tell you then, Lilith. Just for the sake of clarity, let me just pull this up. Since they're all trans related. Yeah, so I did a video called A Sense of Good Taste, and it was about that it was about Sam Brinton. If you remember who that guy is.
No idea.
He was the non-binary guy that Biden brought into the Department of Nuclear Energy. And then it came out that he did like public weird dog suit fetish stuff.
Oh, I saw part of that video.
Yeah.
The dog non-binary person.
Yeah. So I did a video on that.
But apparently they seem to know what they're doing in terms of their fields.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Agreed. Yep. So I don't object to them being in there. Yeah.
People don't realize that a lot of the most brilliant people are weirdos.
Yes, they are.
Like if you have ever known furries or been to a furry convention, you'll know that they're either somebody who's just completely broke, or they're a brain surgeon.
Right.
They're a brain surgeon, rocket scientist, and nothing in between.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was like did you know that one of the people who made the Moderna virus? Sorry,
he was a furry. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I remember seeing that he had like a fursuit and everything.
The virus vaccine. Virus vaccine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had a fursuit.
Oh, they're furry.
Yep.
And people were like, "Holy shit!"
Take your furry vax, guys.
So it actually wouldn't surprise me if this person was brilliant and also really weird.
Yeah.
And it's just like conservatives are just, that's not what we expected. We expected some old white man in a suit.
Okay, so the second video that I did was a deep dive into a website called the Pronouns Wiki. How many pronouns do you think there are actually?
486,000.
1,000 pronouns. So I
don't know. This is a random guess.
Yeah. So I did the Pronouns Wiki because I wanted to see how crazy some things got. And oh my God, there's I said in the video I said in the video that I would be embarrassed if I were trans, because like none of this is representative of the trans experience. It's all just like insanity.
Oh, so you're on. This is the xenogender discourse, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. You know what? I'm. I need to learn a little bit more about xenogenders, but to the onset, from like the outside perspective, it's really just dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Like people referring themselves as like what was it? The Minecraft bee a while back.
Yeah, the
The,
Minecraft
the
bee gender.
Minecraft bee gender. It's just like you're you're making a helicopter joke for them.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
Yep. That's what I said too. And I basically said at the end of that, I was like, listen, I can accept male. Sorry, no, not male. That's a biological term. For genders, I can accept man, woman, both, and neither, and that seems reasonable at that. And like, okay, but like fucking dog and cat gender, and I looked into emoji. So like, there's the emoji pronoun where it's a pronoun that you can't say, you can't write it, and you can't speak it, but it's because it uses an emoji. You can only draw the emoji as the pronoun.
I think the defense against xenogenders is that these are kids trying to cope with their
Yeah.
identity or something along that line.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that's fine. Knock yourself out, but
Oh, dude.
it's very different than having gender dysphoria.
Yes. Like 20, 25 years ago on LiveJournal, people did shit called soul bonding where they pretended to have like alternate personalities. And it was all just kids LARPing around on the fucking internet. This is the same goddamn thing.
Like, I'm open to have my mind changed. But
me too.
it's just
not on this
like,
thing. Not on this. I think I'm right.
It seems really silly, even as somebody who is a trans woman.
Yes.
Especially as somebody as a trans woman, because it feels like, are you mocking me?
Some of them are.
Is this a transphobic attack? I mean, I'm sure some of them are.
Yeah.
Like how could you even tell? If anything goes, why not helicopter?
Why not? Yeah. Art says neither. So a non-human? No, not necessarily. I mean someone who doesn't view themselves as especially masculine or especially feminine. You know, if you view like masculine and feminine as like two glasses, and you like fill one up, like your average guy will have a little bit on the feminine side, and the masculine side is like a full glass, and then it's the opposite. And then some people have both glasses full, and some people have neither glass full. But you don't get to add a third or a fourth or a 10th glass to the equation. That's how I view it. The next video I made was called The Language of the Elite, and that video kind of piggybacked off the pronouns video in that it's basically the idea that there are people who use extremely technical language when it comes to progressive, like very academic language when it comes to progressive causes, because it gives them an air of legitimacy that they don't really deserve. So that then I had to, you have to go into trans stuff to really explore that idea as well. And then in the language of trauma, I did that was a video about people who co-opt traumatic language to describe being inconvenienced in a very normal everyday way.
Yeah, so, like if somebody were to like misremember something and then, oh, you're gaslighting me.
Yeah, or there was a girl who was awkwardly hit on by a guy, and the guy figured it out pretty quick, and he was like, "Oh, sorry. I mean, clearly you're not interested. Nice to meet you." He got up. He was polite. He left. You know, it was awkward, but not a big deal. She posts about how traumatic it was, and how she's traumatized. She has PTSD now. It's like, chill the fuck out, lady. Holy fuck. Like, yeah, it sucked. It was you can make fun of the guy because it was really kind of weird, but like I don't buy this idea that you're traumatized now, you know. But all four of those videos I had to delve into trans stuff, and I haven't really covered trans stuff on my channel that much, aside from talking to you about it. So I did some dives. I did some deep dives. But they're worth watching, because I think I eventually will do the ultimate video, the Are Trans Women video. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the TLDR is, my answer is, pretty much. Not entirely, not in the exact same way as cis women. Obviously, there's some differences, but
obviously.
But in most cases, yeah, pretty much.
If I was cis, I wouldn't need to transition.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, fair enough. I think I think you should be fine then.
I'm still gonna get demonetized as fuck though. I'm never getting that silver play button.
Will.
I'm never getting that, dude. I already have a limited ads on this stream. Okay, guys. I guess due to the gamer words, I'm gonna have to take this stream down and put it down over on the demonetized channel. Okay. It'll go up there.
Yeah,
It won't be here.
I know you said it as a quote.
Yeah,
but you still said it.
Yep. Well, you know what? Since the stream's going down in a few minutes, now you have an opportunity to say it yourself because it'll be gone.
I will choose not to. I have too many people who dislike me. And plus, I also just didn't say it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, even like I know,
I don't want to be like 10 years from now. It's like, well, you're on TV. Would you mind addressing this you said 10 years ago?
Oh, can you imagine? Based, funny. Revoke Lilith's voting rights while you're at it, because you're a woman. Got it. Lilith, get back in the kitchen, like a proper woman. That's how it should be.
Sorry, the Constitution's the Constitution. It's been enshrined. You'd have to pass another. You have to pass another one saying women can vote.
Do you want to repeal the 19th then?
You can't. I don't think you can repeal.
You said to add more
constitutions, but
yeah.
I would say yes as a joke, but people take it seriously.
Man, okay, I've noticed that, like, I'm not blaming you. I'm just noticing. I've noticed that you've gotten a lot less edgy over the past 5 years because you've been like, oh no, someone's gonna notice. I'm gonna get canceled. My Twitter account's gonna get fucked. I understand, like I get it, yeah, but like
I've just completely given up. No, I don't. I have to be a little bit more careful because everything that you say and don't say can be used as a weapon.
Yeah,
and will be used as a weapon.
I think it's
I want to give people as little ammunition as possible.
No, I mean fair enough. I think for me it's because I'm already kind of on the outside, so I don't really care that much. I feel like people who would cancel me, they already hate me, and they're like, well, he's not gonna fucking change. So it's like, okay.
Like, I don't care about being canceled. I've been canceled before.
All right, so if that's the case,
like, wait.
So
what are you gonna do?
Okay, when you and I are completely offline and not being recorded and not streaming, nothing, and we're just hanging out normally, I expect to hear some N-words.
It's just not really in my vocabulary.
I know. I'm joking around. I know.
I would have to go out of my way to say
it isn't for me either. I say fag a lot or faggot, but I don't mind that because I'm also like I'm bi, so I don't really care. You know?
I love saying fag. I love saying tranny personally.
Okay, I can't believe that tranny is considered a slur now. Like
it is a slur. It is a slur when spoken by people who are who hate trans people.
Yeah. You see, when I was
anything
younger,
can be a slur.
When I was younger, it was just a short form of trans.
Same as faggot.
Cool. Keep in mind, when I was younger, the word was transsexual, not transgender. But when I was younger, tranny was just a short form for transsexual, and I was like, okay, so it's just you just short form. Okay, cool. And suddenly it's a slur. And I'm like, what? When did that happen?
I'm pretty sure there was always like a derogatory, like
I mean, maybe, but not in my circles.
Yeah, maybe not. Well, like I don't know. Maybe because I just grew up on like browsing 4chan and Paul, I guess.
Yeah. Honestly, growing up browsing 4chan is definitely like there are people who say like 4chan hates black people. They're legitimately
4chan
racist.
Hates everybody.
Yeah, they just hate everybody. So there was a thread where a black guy was pointing at something and posted a picture. It's like, look at this, guys. And then someone just says, "Are you black?" And then he posts the same picture with him wearing a white glove. And he says, no, of course not. And the entire fucking board erupts in laughter. And the idea
No,
is...
it was a black guy holding a controller, a black controller,
Yeah.
and and somebody replied with this board is whites only.
Yeah.
And he replies with the same picture, but holding a white Xbox controller.
But he also has like a white glove on. I remember this. He put on a white glove, and he was like, "Sorry about that. I'm actually white." And then the entire board erupts in laughter. And the idea is
Because
that
it's hilarious.
yeah, it's funny. Like they're like if they were legitimately racist, they'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here." But they didn't. It was a joke, and he rolled with the joke. And like that's how you know that 4chan actually isn't racist. You know what I mean?
I'm sure there are legitimately racist people there, but I think most people are there just playing a joke.
Yeah.
Like, some of the most transphobic people on 4chan are other trannies.
Yes. Oh God. Have you ever gone to like this is the one trans board where they're all talking about like boy moding and man moding and AGP versus HSTS and all this shit?
The brain rot central.
Holy
Yeah.
fuck, dude. I call for a shutdown on women because something wrong is going on. We need to find out what's going on. For Lilith, any surprise that a trans woman friend of mine who called out the Stalin is a trans icon was being referred to as he? He's a non-binary commie. Yeah, I find that strange. You get like people who claim to be non-binary, but they're biologically male and they use he him and there's nothing feminine about them. But they're like, I'm non-binary and I'm a communist, and now I'm going to co-opt the entirety of the righteousness of the trans movement to defend myself whenever I'm critiqued. And it's like, shut the fuck up. Get the fuck out of here. Christ.
I've had people who say I'm not trans or I'm like fake trans because I've criticized the forced redistribution.
Yeah. Fuck.
Because I think having property is pretty good.
Having property is based.
Yeah, having property is based. You should be mine.
You should be
not to you, Dev. I'm talking about to the chat.
The entire chat should be mine. Okay. Yes, I think we've kind of gone off the rails here, so it's probably about time to end it. Thanks for being here, everyone. I'm going to go have some dinner, and then in a couple of hours, maybe an hour and a half, I'm going to start up the gaming stream. It's pinned in the chat right now, the Game Boomers gaming stream. And I'm going to be joined up by 3 other channels, and every Friday night we do a stream together. We do a big old crossover event. So tune in and say hello.
Yes.
We're going to get out of here, though. Thanks for being here, as always, Lilith. We'll continue. I think this is our 7th. This is our 7th podcast together. When we hit podcast 10, guys, we are transferring this show over to the Dev and Lilith channel. So go follow that as well. Maybe I'll pull up Dev and Lilith right now, and I'll drop it in the chat. Hold on. Go follow this channel as well, guys, because that is where this podcast will be going in the near future. So,
Yes.
Oh God, the entirety of the chat is now like, breed me, Lilith.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
Well,
All right, guys, we're getting out of here. We'll see you later.
see you later, and thanks for being here.